Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on August 10th, 2015, and right from the get-go, and I don't say this too terribly often because I don't find Raw to always be bad. I mean, it has bad points to it, everything like that, but most of the time overall, it's a decently entertaining show. And match quality, and in the terms of match quality-wise, I thought it was fairly entertaining this week, but story build-up, man, I think they really dropped the ball. I felt they've really, this week's Raw was not that good in the terms of promo work, in the terms of building story. The beginning of the show, the segment with Seth Rollins, at least the beginning portion of it, the promo he did against John Cena, it sucked. Straight up, it sucked. It was not good. We've seen Cena do those little bits where he kind of does a little voiceover in the terms of that person before, and honestly, those have never been very good. And subsequently, when someone did it about John Cena, wasn't good. Like the Seth Rollins, like the portion with him trying to build the match with him and Cena for SummerSlam, just fell flat. It was not well done. It picked up and was a little bit better once Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton came out there, and you did the subsequent triple threat match to make a #1 contender for later that night. Honestly, I actually don't have too much of a problem with that on the terms of, trying to build some kind of hype around the show, having like the big title match and everything like that on the show. I actually do kind of like that. The triple threat match between Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Randy Orton was really good as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the match. I thought it was a really good triple threat. I'm also alright with the aspect of Randy Orton winning in this case because, like everybody knew at this point in time, you have your SummerSlam main events pretty much, well, maybe not the title match may not be the main event, but you have the title match kind of set in stone with Cena and Rollins. I do like the aspect during the promo that Triple H tried to put some doubt in there about Cena's only 50-50 and everything like that. I did like that aspect to it, but pretty much it's set in stone, Cena, Rollins, so you knew the title wasn't going to change it. So I was actually okay with the fact that Randy Orton went over here because you knew they were going to try to do something throughout the show, and not throughout the show, but throughout that entire match. And you could save a match with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, or Cesaro and Seth Rollins in that aspect for a later date to maybe build a little bit more tension, like if he doesn't have a title match set up or something for the next pay-per-view or the next WWE Network special, however you want to put it now. You can save it for that point in time to kind of build that little bit of tension, maybe that little bit of doubt that they're going to switch the title at that point in time. So having Orton go over here, I was actually okay with it there. You had the Diva 6 Diva tag match. Not really much in the terms of story building going on here. Matter of fact, they really haven't done too much in the terms of story building around the entire aspect of what they're going with the Divas in here. The main story is the aspect of all three teams kind of biting for dominance, and you have that match set up. It's all three teams in an elimination tag style match, and that can actually be kind of interesting to see how they're going to actually pull that off. You got a 3-on-3-on-3 elimination style tag match. That could be actually fairly interesting to watch, to see how they decide to pull that one off at SummerSlam. So we'll see where they go with it, but they need to start building a little bit more story throughout the entire thing, outside of this aspect that all three of these teams are trying to bide for dominance inside the Divas division. As a matter of fact, you have the reasonings why, like, Alicia Fox joined the Bellas and why Sasha joined up with Naomi and Tamina. You haven't really gotten that aspect or that key portion why Becky Lynch and Charlotte have joined up with Paige. They need to kind of build that in there and then build some more stories around that aspect, and we'll see where they go with it. But Like I said, this week's Raw, they kind of dropped the ball in terms of story building. And like I said, good portions of the show were, pretty much pretty much some of the matches in there. They were pretty good in there. The New Day going up against Los Matadors, and then that was a pretty good match. That set up for them announcing the Fatal 4-Way for the tag titles at SummerSlam. A lot of this was kind of announcing SummerSlam matches. It wasn't really in the terms of story building. You had a really good promo package for the Brock Lesnar Undertaker feud, and that was a decent portion. A decent spot on the show. Just them going through everything, of course, with like current superstars, past superstars. Paul Heyman was in there and everything in that aspect. You knew both guys weren't going to be on the show live because they're going to save that for the next week. But decent promo package from there to set up a little bit. Well, it doesn't really set up a little bit more for the Undertaker Brock Lesnar match. Just a little bit more filler. And something there for people to keep their mind on the match itself. Let's see here. Where else? Oh yes, the match or not the match, but the segment with Daniel Bryan and The Miz on Miz TV. I didn't like it. I didn't really like this one. I felt like they just kind of threw Daniel Bryan out there to throw him out there. At this point, I mean, it wasn't even like, oh, he's coming back in a certain point in time or something like that. It was just pretty much like, nope, I'm just kind of here to rile up the crowd and then rile them up even more when Ryback comes back out. Honestly, the promo from Big Show towards Miz was pretty decent. The response to Ryback coming back was pretty good from the crowd as well. And of course, the way they pretty much are, keeping the triple threat match going. It was okay in that sense, but overall, I didn't really like the segment. I felt like they just kind of threw Daniel Bryan out there for the sake of doing it and riling up the crowd in every way, shape, or form, and he did the job that he needed to do there. He riled up the crowd for all the yes chants, and even got him going with "Feed Me More" chants. So, I mean, in the terms of that success, because it helped put Ryback over a little bit more in there, but the segment itself, I just didn't really care for all that much. Hopefully, they'll do something better next week, leading into the SummerSlam match with them having the triple threat match in there for the with Big Show, Miz, and Ryback for the Intercontinental title. So we'll see if they do something a little bit better next week. I'm not too sure though. I mean, they kind of were building that up through Battleground, and now they have to use it for SummerSlam because of Ryback being out with a staph infection for that entire point in time. So we'll see where they go with everything. You had Neville going up, stumbling over everything. You pretty much throughout the night they continually showed the guy who plays Arrow, or Oliver Queen in the Arrow show. So you knew they were doing something because they've had him and Stardust having this Twitter feud and everything like that. So, okay, you knew they were setting up for something for at least the show between the two of them. And that did play out in the whole Neville-King Barrett match. After the match, Stardust comes out, attacks Neville, takes him down a little bit, and he goes out there to taunt the actor. I don't know. I actually like the show. I forget the guy's name. That's me, by the way. I just forget names all the time. You'll see that in many reviews where I forget some of the names. They just don't pop in the top of my head. Actors' names also do that as well. So the dude who plays Arrow and Stardust has a confrontation. And obviously it leads to where Stardust shoves him in the face, everything like that. Having him jump over the barricade and tackle Stardust, and you have this nice little, holding back segment. Nothing like what they did with like Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, but you had security jump in there. You had King Barrett holding back Stardust for a little bit, and then the promo backstage with Triple H, the dude who plays Arrow. I'm just gonna keep going on that. the name slipped my mind right now, and it shouldn't, but it did. So you had Triple H, the dude that plays Arrow, and Neville cutting a promo. I actually liked what they did there. I liked how Triple H was going through it and basically being angry at the fact that, he brought him as a guest, yeah, he's attacking a guy, and it's like, I don't care. And that dude was going like, I don't care what I've got to sign, what I've got to do. I want a tag match with me and Neville versus King Barrett and Stardust at SummerSlam. Not bad. Actually, it was a pretty decent promo. It was a highlight of the show. It was actually a decent part of the show. So it came off really well. And this led into the main event with Randy Orton and Seth Rollins going up for the WWE Championship. And you had a promo beforehand, basically them like Sheamus teasing that he was going to try to cash in on somebody in that aspect. Also playing out there, it's like who should he go for and everything like that. So you knew they were going to do something there, obviously, because they have something with Randy Orton and Sheamus going on anyway. So you figured he'd play some kind of part in it. The match between Seth Rollins and Randy Orton was pretty good. Nothing like the WrestleMania match, but decent spot. Not really decent, but like really good spot towards the end. You had all the typical spots that those two would typically go off. A really good spot at the end with a springboard into the RKO. I like the aspect that, again, you knew something was going to happen. They weren't going to change the title here. So decent spot with how they had Sheamus run in and prevent Randy Orton from winning, and having him beat down Orton for a little bit and get him outside the ring, and then they tease him cashing in Money in the Bank. It was a decent tease too, so because they haven't done it yet. Like usually by this time with the Money in the Bank contract, they've teased it like 2 or 3 times already by that point, or yeah, maybe 2 or 3 times. But this time around, they've only really done one tease, and that was with this week, with Sheamus actually going after Seth Rollins and looking like he was going to cash in, but of course gets it interrupted by stumbling again. Gets it interrupted by Randy Orton giving him the RKO. So, overall, that was okay as well. Nothing spectacular. But in the terms of actual story building throughout the entire show, and this is overall, it was kind of lackluster. Didn't really do anything for SummerSlam. Now, hopefully, that's because they're saving a lot of the stuff for next week, right before the show. I'm hoping that's the case, because typically the go-home Raw before the pay-per-views are kind of lackluster in the terms of building the story. Maybe they're kind of switching it up this week. Matches this week were fairly entertaining. Oh yeah, almost forgot the whole aspect of what they were going for in the whole Rusev side as well, because Rusev, like, they basically announced as like they're not going to do this whole Rusev versus Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam, because they had Lana on commentary saying, oh, he's coming back after SummerSlam, everything like that. So you got that little aspect in there. And, overall, just kind of, again, this has always been, it's always been a little weird with this aspect between Lana, Rusev, and Lana, Dolph, and Summer Rae, and Rusev. Like, Summer Rae doesn't seem to fit Rusev at all in any way, but they're kind of going with it. And they had this week where, okay, they've pretty much shown Lana in a dominant spot, so now they had to get Summer Rae in there in some way. And then so they had her put the accolade on Lana, which, in this case, it does what it needs to do. Summer Rae looks a little bit more dominant over her versus where they had been going over the past few weeks. So, you had semi-story building in there, but overall, again, it just doesn't seem to fit. To me, it just doesn't seem to fit. But we'll see where they go with everything. Obviously, now it's not going to happen at the pay-per-view itself, unless they're planning on doing something with Lana and Summer Rae or something like that. I don't know where they're actually going with that in any way. But they're obviously going to continue this feud because they have to lead it into something with Dolph and Rusev somewhere down the line. and we'll see when that actually ends up happening. But like I said, overall this week, I felt the story building just lacked. Now, like I said, hopefully this is something that they're saving some good stuff in the terms of story building going into SummerSlam for next week, or have they already gone through all their stuff and now you get 2 weeks of basically filler going into SummerSlam. But overall, this Raw was not very good. I did not find it fully entertaining outside of some of the matches in there. Some of the matches I did find entertaining, but overall, I did not like this Raw this week. So, nothing really more to say about it. So, this was my review for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.